Right. Good morning, guys. So, in our last session, we have started discussing about Route 53. So, any questions for me on that previous session, guys? So, anyone got any domain name, free domain name here?
Yes, Avinash.
Okay. So then you need to decide whether you're okay to pay this 50 cents per month or not. So, I'll strongly suggest you to create a hosted zone tomorrow if you're okay.
Yeah, I will do it tomorrow. That's why I didn't do it yesterday.
All right. So, when coming to these routing policies, the first one is a weighted routing policy, simple routing policy. Whenever you have only one resource to map to your domain, so then you can configure like EC2 instance or elastic load balancer. Then you can navigate to Route 53. Then you can map your domain name to that particular resource. So whenever you have multiple resources, then remaining routing policies you can configure. So when coming to weighted routing policy, and coming to weighted routing policy, so here based on the defined weight, we can deliver the traffic. So you can have these two resources in same region or a different region. So that means you have some web servers in Mumbai and you have some same similar web servers or like updated web servers in Northern Virginia. Then you can define, okay, I want to send 80% of the traffic here, 20% of the traffic here, or 50% of the traffic, right? Based on the weight the traffic is going to route, that is a mechanism here. When coming to latency routing policy, so latency will play the key role here. Whenever any request is coming to access avinas.tk website, this Route 53 will analyze, okay, for this user, how much latency he will get if the request go to Mumbai resources and Northern Virginia resources. Whichever one is giving quick responses, all traffic will go to that. So here the latency and Route 53 will decide that latency. And while creating the resource, we need to define, okay, I have this resource in Mumbai region, I have this resource in Northern Virginia. So you need to define that mechanism, right? So then failover routing policy. So in failover routing policy, we are going to have a primary resource and secondary resource. Whenever something happened to primary resource, then all traffic will go to the secondary one automatically. So we need to create a health check and we need to define that along with failover routing policy. When this health check is failing, it will send traffic to secondary one. When coming to geolocation routing policy, based on end customer geographical location, the traffic is going to route. So for example, for Indian users, you want to deliver a Hindi website. For all other country users, you want to deliver an English website. So now there is a requirement that Indian user request should go to that Hindi website, which is hosted here in Mumbai. So then you can go and depend on this geolocation routing policy, right? So these are the routing policies available. So quickly, I'm going to launch an EC2 instance. Uh, sorry. So quickly, I'm going to launch an EC2 instance here in Mumbai region, and I'm going to add that EC2 instance to a load balancer. Then I'm going to configure simple routing policy. So then I'll create another resource in Northern Virginia. Then we are going to create these remaining routing policies. As I mentioned again, so you can keep both resource in same region or different region. But when coming to these routing policies, you have Mumbai region. When something happened to Mumbai region, so that entire region failure happens. You don't want to get affected. So in that scenario, we can use this, like latency routing policy. So if you don't have Mumbai, no, automatically the request will go to Northern Virginia, the least one. And failover, again, this also will give us region failure, one of the DR strategy. And as I mentioned, another DR strategy, that is a pilot light. So everything runs here. When something happen, then immediately the small environment, which is standby environment you have here, that is going to run that we can increase the capacity and we can send all the traffic here. So all these three we can use as a disaster recovery ones. Whenever any EC2 instance failure happen, ELB take care. If you implement auto scaling group here, any EC2 instance downtime happen, so this ELB won't send traffic, and if you implement auto scaling group, it will create another EC2 instance and it is going to deliver via ELB. So instance failure or availability zone failure we can sustain. Region failure also we can sustain by implementing one of these strategy. So let's perform this hands-on. Right. So I've logged into my AWS environment and I'm in Mumbai region and I'm going to launch an EC2 instance. So this is a small user data. This is a Mumbai web server. I'm taking Amazon Next2, AMI, T2 Micro. I'm going with all the default options and I'm giving user data. So this is generating, this is a Mumbai web server, is a string it is generating and it is writing it here. Remaining all 8 gigs. And I'm going to call this as Mumbai web server. Then click on next. So whatever the security group you are going to choose, make sure it is opened with port number 80. Then click on review and launch using an existing key pair. Right. So now one instance is provisioning. So meanwhile, I'm going to create a load balancer. Navigate to load balancers. Create load balancer, application load balancer, and I'm going to call this as Mumbai ELB internet facing port number 80. And I'm going to select all the three subnets here. Then click on next, leave this at moment. And I'm going to use ELBSG that is opened with what ports it got opened. It's not showing that. Okay, I'm going to choose an existing security group, ELBSG. So then target group, Mumbai target group, and I'm going to register by using instance and I'm going to perform health check to index.html. Then click on next. What are the instances you want to add? I'm going to select that, add to registered. Here one instance is added, review, create. Okay, so our Mumbai load balancer creation got initiated. It's in provisioning state and so this is in running state and let's verify whether the user data got executed successfully or not. It's executed successfully. Now let's navigate to this load balancer and verify the security group of the load balancer, whether the required ports are open or not. Basically port number 80 under inbound rules. So port number 80 is open for everyone. So we are good with load balancer security group. So it's still in provisioning state. Let's navigate to target groups, verify the targets. It is still in initial state and target registration is in progress. Wait for a minute or two, then it is going to show status as a healthy. Ah, it's still okay. All right, it's healthy. What is the cause if I get unhealthy? Health check is failing. Whenever health checks are failing, then you are going to get it as a unhealthy. So you need to verify to what path you are performing this health check, whether this file is there in your EC2 instance or not, and whether this load balancer is communicate with your EC2 instance or not. These are the things you need to verify. Right, so here is a DNS name, and we are able to get the output with the DNS name also. Right, this is our Mumbai web server. So now let's navigate to Route 53. So I've navigated to Route 53 here. And this is a hosted zone we have created in our last session. And by defaultly, as we know, we are going to get two records, NS record and SOA record. Okay, so don't delete that. Let's keep that. We should not delete these NS records. Okay. So now let's create another record. Click on create record. Whoever is trying to access this avidas.tk, their request should come to one of the defined resource, where we are going to define the resource by creating a record. So click on create record. So I want to map it directly to the domain, not to any subdomain. If you want to, you can add that subdomain here. So this is my domain, first thing. And what record? As I told, we are going to always use a record to map the resources. If you want to map it to individual EC2 instance, you can give the individual IP address here. But as I mentioned, we always use alias. So enable the alias here, then choose endpoint, application and classic load balancer. Now in what region your resources are there? My resource is in Mumbai region. Then what is your load balancer? This is my load balancer. Mumbai ELB-7141. This is a load balancer. So whoever is trying to access this avinas.tk, that request should goes to this particular load balancer. So which routing policy we are going to use? We are using simple routing policy. Okay. So then click on create record. So now one record got created. So now in simple, whoever is trying to access this avinas.tk, these name servers know where exactly this application is hosted. It will come to this name servers and it will look for the record. Okay, to where it need to send. It is going to send the traffic to this particular load balancer. So now this load balancer will go and check in that listener how many healthy targets we have. So to all that healthy targets, it is going to send the traffic. So this is a flow. Now, so we just perform this modification just now. We need to wait for some time. So basically, whatever modification you are performing related to this DNS, you need to wait for 300 seconds. That means 5 minutes to take that effect. If you don't want to wait for 5 minutes, if you want to propagate the changes pretty quickly, you can do one thing, that ipconfig /+ DNS, run this command multiple times. This is the first step to propagate the changes pretty quickly. If you are okay to wait for 5 minutes to get the output, don't worry about all these things. If you want to get the changes pretty much quickly, if this command is also not working, then change the DNS servers in local device. Change the DNS servers in local device to propagate the changes pretty quickly. That is also another thing. And sometimes browser or system cache will load wrong data or outdated data, not the latest one. So just close the browser, clear the history and try to, or else use another browser. So these two will fix most of the issues to get the changes, like, to get the output pretty quickly. All right, so now let's navigate here. Gave avinash.tk. It's trying to load. It's trying to load. Now it should not take this much time. So let me open command prompt ipconfig / DNS. So now give avinash.tk. Is it loading to HTTPS? Come on. So you should not use HTTPS. You should use HTTP protocol. See here. Now, whenever we are trying to access avinash.tk, we are able to get this Mumbai web server. Not only here, I'm pasting this URL in our chat box. You can click on that link. You will get this website. Right. So that is a simple routing policy. And that's how you map your domain name to one of the resource. So if you want to map this resource to S3 bucket, see, you know, in S3, we have a feature called static website hosting. So if you want to map this domain name to static website hosting, same thing. Instead of selecting application load balancer here, go and choose alias to S3 bucket endpoint. In what region you have your bucket? It's in Mumbai region. What is a S3 bucket? So if you have a bucket with the name called avinash.tk, if it is enabled with static website, then you can select this. Just click on save. That's it. So whoever is trying to access avinash.tk, that request will go to that particular S3 bucket, right? So that is a mechanism for S3, right? So now I want to configure remaining routing policies. I want to configure another routing policy. Yes, bucket name should be same as website name, Vijay. Then only it works. That we discussed in our S3. Right. So now when coming to remaining routing policy, we need to have minimum of 2 resources, right? We need to have minimum of 2 resources to perform those. So now let me quickly create these things in Northern Virginia. You can take any, but any region, but I'm going with the Northern Virginia at the moment. So let's navigate to Northern Virginia, launch an instance, and this is a script I'm using. I'm just changing this. This is a USA web server, nothing more than that. Okay, so T2 micro and scroll down to the bottom. Given the user data tags, this is my USA web server. Then click on next, and I'm going to choose an existing security group that is open with port number 80. And I don't have that key pair, but however, I don't require that key pair. So then click on next and then load balancer, create load balancer, application load balancer, and I'm going to call this as USA Elastic Load Balancer. And I'm going to select all the available subnets. Then click on next, leave it blank. So I'm going to choose an existing security group and USA target group, and where we are going to perform health check to index.html. What target you want to? I'm registering that existing target, review, create. So now this is going to take a couple of minutes. This is going to take a couple of minutes. So then it will come alive. So meanwhile, if you navigate to Route 53, so now this time I want to create a weighted routing policy. I deleted that existing one. So click on create record. So a record, always enable alias. So now I have an EC2 instance, Elastic Load Balancer in Mumbai region. I selected similar here, but instead of simple routing policy, I'm going to select weighted routing policy. Now, here I selected weighted routing policy. Now we need to define how much weight you want to send to this resource. So anything between 0 to 255. So you can define the weight can be a number between 0 to 255. If you can specify 0, it stop responding to the DNS queries to that particular one. So you can define anything 0 to 255. Okay, so now I'm going to give 1% here, 1% weight here, remaining 254 I'm going to give onto another resource. So health check is optional. If you want to, there is no health checks like we associated and all, just leave that blank. Then create a record ID. This is just like a tag. So weighted routing policy Mumbai is a name I'm giving. Create record. So now one record got created and it is going to send. See here, weighted. So the differentiator is this. So now we need to create another A record. If we go here, if you are trying to access, see, if you go here, if you are trying to access, all traffic is going to Mumbai web server. Now we can configure this USA load balancer and let me quickly verify whether it is giving output or not. All right, USA web server is working. Now navigate to route 53, create another record, create record. I'm giving alias and then application load balancer. In what region? In Northern Virginia, I have, and I'm going to select that. Now, what routing policy? Weighted routing policy. How much weight you want to define? 254% of the weight I want to define here. Then click on create record. Name again, that record ID is nothing but a tag USA weighted routing policy. Create record. So now if you observe total 0 to 255, so 1% is going here, 255% is going here. So now again we perform this modification just now. If you just go here, if you are keep on refreshing, either it might reflect or it might not reflect. If it is not reflecting, run this query. Okay, so now see this, all requests are going to USA web server only. All requests are going to USA web server. So now I just changed my mind. I want to change, like, for Mumbai, I want to send 254% of the traffic, or I want to send 255% of the traffic, or for US, I don't want to send anything. But at moment where all my traffic is going, see, I'm giving continuous refresh here. See, I'm giving continuous refresh. Observe this link here, or else this loading screen here. See, all traffic is going to USA web server. Now I'm navigating and I'm going to edit this. Give this right side bit, and here you have edit option, edit record. And then I want to send 0% of the traffic here. So that means I don't want to send anything to USA load balancer, and I want to send everything to this Mumbai one. So I'm going to send 255, then save. Okay, so now no traffic to this USA, all traffic should go to Mumbai as per this weighted routing policy. Then we can go here, give refresh. See, it's going to, sometime it went to USA, but now immediately it took the changes and now it is going to Mumbai web server, otherwise flush DNS. So how it is changing? Are we changing anything here at URL? No, right. We are not changing anything at URL, but we were able to get responses from different resource which is running in different regions. So that differentiator is this wait we configured. Right? If you have another resource, yes, you can add another one. Not just two guys. If you have two more, yes, go and add the two more, and based on this weight you configured, the traffic is going to route. So that is a weighted routing policy. So any question on this weighted routing policy, guys?
So, Avinash, I have one, right? I don't know whether I should ask it now, because let's say if you have a.avinash.tk and b.avinash.tk, right? So, in that case, how would that happen?
Means you are creating a record.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, just you are going to add. Remaining anything is changing.
No.
Based on this routing policy, that is going to happen.
Yeah.
You are
And let's
just
say
going
if
to add a record here, nothing more than that, right?
okay. So if I choose weighted routing policy over here, right? So what that way, okay, that altogether will be a different record, right? Okay,
Yes.
like 250 and then 4, then 1, right? So all three are different, right? It's not like
Yes.
nested or something. Okay, fine.
Yeah. So is there any maximum limit for the record? So based on my knowledge, no. But I'll double check, Venkat, and I'll let you know. But based on my knowledge, there is no limit. We can see that things under service quota. So there is a screen called service quotas. I haven't verified. So far, I didn't get the doubt. I haven't verified that actually. There is a limit for Route 53 hosted zones. So Amazon Route 53. So for that, Amazon VPCs that you can associate with. So that's a 300. So we can configure 200 health checks. You can create 500 hosted zones. That I know there is a limit for that. Okay, there is a limit. Yes, records per hosted zone, it's a 10,000. Is that answered your question, Venkat? Right. So I never verified. Yeah. Okay, so that is a weighted routing policy. Now, when coming to another routing policy, so that is latency routing policy. When coming to latency routing policy, now I'm going to define, so either you can just go and you can edit this record. That works for us. So instead of simple routing policy, I'm going to select latency routing policy. So then you need to mention, okay, in what region this is running. So this is running in US East 1. Otherwise, I'll show you from scratch. No need to worry about that. Okay, this time I want to configure latency routing policy. Then create record. Record type a record, alias as yes, and route traffic to application load balancer. In what region? It is in Mumbai region. And here is a region like, load balancer or resource I want to map. So then routing policy. I want to perform latency routing policy. So then in what region we have this? So I'm going to select the region, Mumbai region. So as I mentioned, whenever we are configuring latency routing policy, we need to define in what region this is there. So this resource is running in Mumbai region, and this is, I'm going to call this as Mumbai web server. Then create a record. Now create another record. Give alias as a yes, and application load balancer and Northern Virginia. Excuse me. Selected that, and region code is US East 1, and I'm selecting latency routing policy, Northern Virginia, US East 1, and USA web server, create record. Okay, so now a couple of records got created here and both are latency. One record, the differentiator is this Mumbai region and the Northern Virginia. So now let's wait for a couple of minutes, or you can run this ipconfig plus DNS. It is going to flush the DNS records and all. Now, if we go here, if we give a refresh, see, for me, all traffic is going to Mumbai web server. Can someone test it for me, please? Whoever near to US, see, whoever is in India, by default, they should get, or nearby Indian countries, they are going to get response from this Mumbai web server. Just a minute, guys. We are getting some background noise here. Some work is happening. So I'll just switch to another room. Give me a couple of minutes. All right. I think it's better now. So whenever I navigate here and when I'm giving quick refresh, I'm getting output from Mumbai web server. So can someone test it for me, please?
Yeah, I have checked by owning ESVPN. I am getting ESVPN server.
Yeah. So based on your geographical location, the request is going to route 53. It is testing how much latency we are going to get with the instance one, and the resource one, and how much latency we are getting with the resource two. Then it is going to send all the traffic to that particular one. So that is the differentiator here. So any questions on this latency routing policy? Okay, so then we have failover that we will discuss as a last option. Why? Because I want to delete some resource as part of that. So here geolocation routing policy. So based on end customer geographical location, we are going to get that the request is going to be delivered based on end customer geographical location. So whoever trying to access this avinash.tk website, so then I will configure in this manner. Whoever is in India, for them, I want to deliver USA website. Rest of the world, I want to deliver Mumbai website. Just for testing purpose. There is no specific reason for that. There is no valid reason for that, just to show you output. Okay, create record. I'm going to select a record along with that alias record. Okay, so then I'm going to select application load balancer, then region, it's a Mumbai, and I selected the resource. So I'm selecting geolocation routing policy. To what are all the locations you want to deliver this? Whoever is trying to access avinash.tk, if they are in this particular location, then send the traffic to this region, this region resource. Whoever is accessing from Asia, or Europe, or North America, or Africa, or Antarctica, that we can select. Okay, so I'm going to select for rest of the world. I want to deliver this Mumbai, then we can select default. So Mumbai for rest of the world. then create record. Now, only for Indian users, create record, give alias as a yes, and selecting application load balancer, and I'm selecting Northern Virginia, and I'm selecting geolocation routing policy to whom you want to, only for India. Whoever is trying to access from India, for them, when they are trying to access avinash.tk, this US load balancer should send. So USA web server for India, create record. Now, see here, for Indian users, see the differentiator for Indian users, when they are trying to access avinash.tk, this is going to resolve. For rest of the world, this is going to resolve. So now go here, give couple of flash DNS and all. Now generate couple of requests, and there you can see I'm here in India. When I'm trying to access, USA web server is delivering. So just because of this. So now whoever is in India, can you try to access this avinash.tk, guys? You will get request from USA web server only. And whoever is in another country, regardless of what country you are, if you are not in India, then you are going to get Mumbai web server. Right? So that is a differentiator here based on the customer geographical location. The next one is failover routing policy. When coming to failover routing policy, so we need to choose which resource is a primary, which resource is secondary. So now let's navigate to health check. For primary resource, you definitely required a health check. So then only it will come to know, okay, this resource is down or this region resource is down and all, right? So navigate to health check. Below to that hosted zones, we have health checks. Create health check. What is the name? So prod health check is the name I'm giving to the endpoint directly. So then do you want to test health check by using IP address or domain name? So whenever this domain name is down, whenever it found this domain name is down, automatically it sends to secondary one. So you most of the times we are going to use this, but you do have another option that whenever this DNS name also down, you can send. So you can define that. See, whenever this DNS name, this is not resolving. This is a end URL. If this URL is working, this health check is success. If this is not working, that is failed. Okay, so then that's what we need to verify here. So then click on next. So do you want to get notification when health check failed? Basically, we are going with the basic health check, guys. If you want to resolve that pretty quickly, you can choose fast health check also, but that is going to cost us. So I'm going with the basic health check, and even this also it's going to cost us. This is a pricing. So for basic health check, $0.50 per month for health checks, right? So that is going to cost us. Be cautious about that whenever you are practicing this failover routing policy. Then click on next. Get notified when health check fails. So do you want to create an alarm? Then to what SNS topic you want to, that you can give if you really want to. Then create health check. Now it is going to take some time, couple of minutes, probably 90 seconds. Why? Because we choose basic monitoring, right? So as it is a basic monitoring, it is going to take 90 seconds to tell the status of this resource, whether it is healthy or not. So meanwhile, we can create a failover routing policy. Click on create record, and I'm going to give alias as a yes here and route traffic to application load balancer. And where you perform the health check, I perform health check for my USA resource. So you must made USA one as a primary. So I'm going to select Northern Virginia one, and here I'm going to select failover routing policy. What is a failover record type? Is this a primary or secondary? This is a primary. And what is a health check? So we need to define a health check. So I selected the health check. So then, so primary resource, I'm going to give it as a record, then create record. Now create a secondary one. See, the differentiator is this is a primary. So we are going to create another one that is a secondary. Create record, give alias as a yes, and application load balancer region Mumbai region, and I selected the resource Mumbai ELB. So then latency routing, failover routing policy. Then is this a primary? It's a secondary. Click on secondary. So can we have multiple primary? No, whenever you're trying to create a record, it's going to fail. So I'm going to choose it as a secondary. For secondary, do we really need a health check? Not required. This is secondary, then create record. So the real differentiator is this. It's a failover routing policy. This is a primary. When primary one, the health checks are passing, all traffic will go to the primary. When health checks are failing, all traffic will go to the secondary. Now USA is a primary. If I go here, if I'm trying to access, my entire traffic will go to the USA web server. My entire traffic is going to USA web server. Okay, so now when something happened to the primary one, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete this resource. I'm going to delete this load balancer. So whenever we delete this load balancer, what happened then? This health check is going to fail. So this DNS name or this URL is not going to resolve. This is a URL. This URL is not going to resolve. At moment, is it resolving? Yes. See, it's resolving. Whenever it is stopped resolving, this health check is going to fail. Automatically, traffic will go to Mumbai. So let me do that. So to show you that, I'm going to delete this USA load balancer. I deleted that. Okay. So this health check should start failing in backend. So once it is failed, then it will. So now if I go here, I'm giving refresh. See this, it automatically went to Mumbai. Why? Because the primary one started failing, the health check started failing. So immediately that route 53 is sending all the traffic to Mumbai web server. If you wait for a minute or two, then here it is going to show the status as unhealthy. Okay, so that is a failover routing policy. So along with that, we do have another routing policy, that is multi-value answer routing policy. Whenever you don't have resource like load balancers and all, if you want to perform health checks and everything to individual EC2 instances. So in that case, we are going to use this multi-value answer routing policy. When coming to this multi-value answer routing policy, we really don't use this much. I've never seen anyone use this multi-value answer routing policy. As it have, if you want me to demonstrate, I can definitely do that. So It's still showing as healthy. I'm not going to delete until unless this show status as unhealthy. Last failed checks. See, it is failing. It is failing. Then it will show the status. Yeah, here you can see it is unhealthy. So that's why all traffic is coming to Mumbai web server. When primary comes alive, what happens? Again, all traffic will go to the primary resource, not the secondary resource. So whenever this is again started clearing health check, automatically it send all the traffic to primary one only. When something happened to the primary, then only it sends to secondary. So that is a failover health check, failover routing policy. So I'm going to delete failover routing policy also. Now, if you want to configure multi-value answer routing policy, click on create record, and here you must select multi-value answer routing policy. Then whenever you're trying to enable alias, so it won't support. See, is it allowing us to select any of the thing? No. Whenever you have individual EC2 instances, and then only you can use this multi-value. For example, I have an EC2 instance that I want to grab the private IP and I want to get that here. So then see, whoever is trying to access this, it goes here and multi-value answer routing policy. Multi-value one, then create record, and similarly create another record. So get that Mumbai region instance also, then get that. So individual instances, then we can use this multi-value answer routing policy. So AWS randomly picks some health checks on this instance and it is going to perform that data routing. So no need to pay much attention towards that multi-value answer routing policy. So these are the routing policies we have. All right. So we have seen hands-on also on that. So not only this, now you have an S3 bucket you want to, then you can go here and choose, okay, this is my record and alias as a yes, and go here, choose S3 website endpoint and, in S3. If you have Beanstalk, Elastic Beanstalk, you can navigate here, choose Elastic Beanstalk in what region you have and what is the environment. You can pick that environment. So avinash.tk, this is the website. This is a S3 bucket I need to map, and here is the index.html, error.html, and here is the property that is enabled with static website hosting. So this is the static website hosting URL. So the website is going to delivered with this, but instead of this, I want to deliver this by using my DNS name, this domain name. So then navigate to Route 53, select S3 website endpoint. In what region? It's in Mumbai region. What is the S3 bucket? Select the S3 bucket, then simple routing policy, create record. Now you need to wait for some time or flush the DNS. If we go here, if we give refresh, see, when I'm trying to access avinash.tk, so it is giving this particular web page, right? So, but from where this web page is loading? From my S3 bucket, it is loading. Okay, so that is another routing policy mapping to S3 bucket. So I hope that part is clear, guys. And project level, it's only one-time operation. So having knowledge on this is okay, but we are not going to work on our day-to-day basis on this service. Right?
Yeah, Avinash, Murali Krishna here.
Yes, Murali.
One small doubt. In first section, you showed the diagram like 80%, 20%, like that, right?
Yes.
But in programming, you mentioned like 1, 240, 254, 255.
Yes.
I got a little confused there. Can you?
Okay, so very simple. So here the mechanism I have given, like, I took 100% as a weightage. So I'm sending 20% traffic here and 80% traffic there.
Okay.
So now instead of 100, you need to calculate that with 255. So you can make the 255 as a percentile. So for example, you want to send 20% here, then what you can do, so 20% of 255. So then you need to define, okay, I want to send 51% here. So technically it is 20%, but value you mention it as a 51. Remaining 80%, where I need to, so the remaining 80%, so you can mention 204. So you need to mention 51 here, 204 here.
Okay. Why we have to take two like that one is a 255? Any?
System can understand, like, bits and bytes whenever it is converting. So the maximum IP address
Okay.
range or system understand is
Based
256 only.
okay, based on IP address. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, clear, Avinash.
Yes. What happens if we accidentally delete NS and SOA? So can we delete NS record? Let's give a try. I have this NS record. Can I delete it? See? No. Can we delete SOA? Can we delete it? No. We cannot delete NS record or SOA record.
Then why that option is placed if we are unable to delete?
See, that is the key for all the routing, right? So whenever you create hosted zone, automatically these two will get.
No. My question is the delete option itself is there now already, but disabled. Why that is mentioned if not allowed to delete? That is.
Okay, first thing, mandatory. I believe we know what exactly mandatory, right? Whenever you create a hosted zone, mandatorily it is going to give two records. So if AWS given an option to delete this, so what you did, you picked this, you deleted this. Now you want to map one record, or like, you decided to change from freenom to you decided to change it to GoDaddy. So then how you will get this record? So you always need these records, right? As
Yes,
you
yes.
always need this record, they don't allow you to delete it. So this one you can change. This is a fixed one. AWS is giving this. This is a fixed one, and it is managed by AWS. So that's why it won't allow you to edit or modify. But this one, yes, it's in our hand. We can do that. And as I mentioned, whenever we create a hosted zone, we will get NS record and SOA record when we create a hosted zone.
So, Avinash, is it possible that these name servers could be common across multiple AWS accounts?
That's not in our hand. So for example, if you take,
Just a question. Yeah.
this is, for example, I have two hosted zones. This is one hosted zone, and I have another hosted zone. See, if I go here, if I'm trying to find this, so I can show you both. See, is it same? Both are in my AWS account only. So, but both are different. Is it in our hand to manage this? No, it's in AWS hand. So whatever the one they are giving, we should configure.
One more question, Avinash. In the weighted routing policy, right? So let's say if we have done 20% and 80%, right? So if my 20% ELB goes down, if the entire traffic will route to the 80% ELB, or would I lose?
Okay, you test it and you come back with the result.
Okay.
Yeah.
Avinash, I have a doubt.
Yes, please.
Whenever we are using the Linux commands, at the end, sometimes we are using the // and sometimes we are not using. When we should use and when we should not use, can you tell me?
If it is like,
I'm
you
a
know,
bit
a
confused.
folder, for example, if it is a folder, we are going to get this \/ folder within a folder. So then you must use this slash, for example, but if it is just a folder you want to navigate, you can use it. Or if it is a simple file, you don't need to give any slash here.
When we want to go inside the folder, we need to give \.
Yes.
When we don't want to go to inside the folder, we didn't without \.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Okay, so as I mentioned again, I'm repeating this, creating this hosted zone is going to cost you 50 cents, right? So that's all about Route 53. Give me a couple of minutes. I'm going to share this EC2 quiz now itself. I forgot to share that in our Slack channel yesterday. I'll do it right now. So in our next session, that means tomorrow, we're going to start with the VPC.
Avinash, suppose if we delete that hosted zone, can we avoid the billing?
If you're creating, you already got charged for 50 cents.
Okay, then if I delete?
If you delete, yeah, you still get 50 cents for this month.
Only for that particular month, right?
Yes, only for that particular month. So that's why I'm asking you to practice from tomorrow. At least you will have like, you know, enough time to change that records and all.
Okay.
But if you create today, so as this falls into that month, you will get charged 50 cents today. Tomorrow again 50 cents. So $1 you might get charged for that. So if you delete, for example, you already created a hosted zone, you deleted today. So then it won't cost you 50 cents in next month. But this month you will get 50 cents bill.
Okay. How long we kept that one? Keep on the bill it comes every month, right?
Yes.
Oh, clear.
So I have shared this EC2 quiz document here. Please spare some time and go through that. And please keep your answers ready, right? So that is another thing. And so we are going to start with VPC. And make sure you terminate all your resources once you're done with the lab. Don't leave any resource in running state or stopped state. And keep an eye on your billing dashboard, which resource you're consuming more, which is about to take up all your free tire limitation, exceeding free tire limitation. That please verify that periodically. Okay, so yeah, we're going to have an introduction to VPC in our tomorrow session. Probably that's going to be a theoretical part. So day after tomorrow, we are going to start creating our custom VPC. So any question before closing the session?
Avinash, I got one right. I just posting it. I'm a bit confused on that. Can you have a look at it? So here I want to know whether the traffic on group 2 domain, right? Is it going through group 1 or is it directly going to group 2?
It goes to group 2. See,
Yeah.
What you are giving here in browser URL, whether you are giving avinash.tk or what you are giving here.
Avinash.tk, right? So
then it
it's
goes to group
just
1. Then
if I write it a.edu.avinash.tk,
You clearly mentioned that's in group 2. It goes to group 2.
Okay, so it won't be like, I mean, first my top level domain is getting resolved through Mumbai or USA load balancer, and then it is not like that.
See, if you're giving top level domain name, it goes to top level domain name. If you're giving second level domain name, it goes to second level domain name
Directly. Okay.
directly.
Okay, fine.
All right. So, yeah, that's it for today's session. See you again tomorrow, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.